How we doing, guys? How's everything going? What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you to the people in the chat. Thank you guys for the congratulations on hitting 40K. Yes, we did hit 40K. I believe earlier yesterday afternoon, I think. But yeah, thanks guys. So we are at 40K for the channel now. My goal is to reach 50. As Dilcor mentioned in the chat, I want to reach 50 before the end of the year. I think with another one or two good uploads, that'll definitely be a reality. So definitely on track for all the goals and stuff. So yeah, thank you for the congratulations, guys, the positivity. I appreciate it. People are saying they're having issues. They're saying the stream's lagging. There's some connectivity issues. I'm not sure if that's me or if that's YouTube. I seem to have good connection on my end. I apologize if it's lagging or giving you guys some problems here. Is it raining right now? It is raining. I don't know if that could be if that's a weather thing. Yeah, Kev, this is a Whitesnake cardigan. Steady Hands, same website. Because they don't just do one piece. They do all types of cardigans, like different anime, manga, stuff like that. He says he's chill. Dilcor says he's chilling, no issues. It seems to be an EU only issue. Okay, that's unfortunate. I'm sorry to hear that, guys. For all my Euro friends out there, there might be some problems. Killer Comedy says it's not just EU, me as well. Buffering. Jeez. All right, guys. I'm sorry YouTube is not cooperating today. I apologize if there's any stream quality issues. For once, it's not on my end, as far as I can tell. For like the first time ever, it's not me. My computer's good. My connection seems to be holding up, so I don't know what's up with that. I'm sorry. Guys, I wanted to do, so today we're going to be doing a review of chapter 1096, right? So last week we did the review instead of a reaction, and I want to I kind of wanted to test the waters with this, because it's something I've been meaning to transition over into doing for a while. I figured that a lot of you guys maybe preferred the reactions to something like this. But everyone seemed to like the review last week. I mean, people seem to like it as much, if not more, than my typical reaction formula. What I wanted to do is do another review this week. And this is actually part of a greater plan. If you guys don't mind, before I get into the chapter, I just kind of want to give a little bit of an update on where the channel's headed, what I'm going to be doing with the streams. I came up with a pretty good idea. I think it's going to make everyone happy. So typically, before last chapter, I had been doing chapter reactions. I had been reacting to the chapter live. I pull up the chapter, I read it, I react to it, and then we discuss the chapter after I'm done reacting. And while that makes for, I think, an entertaining piece of content in the moment, the way I see it is like, if I'm just reacting to the chapter every week, what you're getting from me is the most surface level take on the chapter. Because I'm going to be here staring at the screen, I'm going to read the chapter for like 20 minutes, and it's just going to be me doing this. And then occasionally being like, whoa, that's sick. Oh, that's crazy. No way. Could this be this? Could it be? Could Luffy, could Roger have had the Gomu Gomu no Mi? No way. It's me doing shit like that for like 30 minutes. So I feel like why not just cut the middleman, right? Like, why not just trim the fat? Let's just go skip the reaction. I want to just make the stream a discussion about the chapter. I like the way that Morge does it. To be honest, I feel like that's better for me too, because the way it helps me out is I read the chapter on my own when it comes out. Personally, I enjoy that a lot more because I don't have to do it in front of a camera. I don't have to kind of like, try and be entertaining, if you get what I mean. Like, it's kind of like a thing that you got to do when you're streaming. So for me, it's like, if I don't have to have that on my mind and I can just sit down in my own comfortable scenario, like, in my bed, on my couch, whatever, read the chapter, and then I spend like the next couple days, you know, thinking about it, thinking about theories, digesting the information that I took in, you know, like just thinking about all the different possibilities, looking to see what the community has had to say. That way I know what's already being talked about and I can bring something new to the table. I really like the format of like reading it on my own, thinking about it, and then coming back to you guys with some fire, with some heat, and then we can spend the whole stream, instead of wasting time doing the reaction, we can spend the stream, you know, breaking down the chapter, talking about all the different ideas. So I think that's I think it's a win-win for everyone. It helps me because I don't have to wait to read the chapter, so I never get spoiled anymore. It helps you guys because you get a much more in-depth breakdown of the chapter, and it makes our stream time, like the time we're spending on the stream, is used a lot more efficiently. It's a lot more, you know, it's a lot more, I don't know, valuable, I guess you could say. A lot of people are still saying there's buffering issues. I'm sorry, guys. I think we're just gonna have to power through it for now and see if it gets better. Let me know if anyone who's having buffering problems. Please let me know if it gets better or if it stops. If it doesn't get better, hopefully the VOD won't have these problems. I'm assuming the VOD won't be lagging. But we'll see. I'm gonna have to see it after the stream's over. I'm gonna check, and hopefully the VOD will not be laggy, and you can always go back to the VOD and see the proper stream. So yeah, I think being able to skip spoilers, being able to come to you guys with a lot more meat and potatoes to talk about, you know, like I'm bringing you guys more instead of just giving you a surface level take. I think it's better. Now, the third part of this that I think you guys are going to like, and I think that this will be good for the channel as a whole, is, you know, one thing I've realized is the more this channel grows, the more I try and make these high-quality, long, in-depth videos. I kind of feel like every time I put a new video out, because obviously with every video I kind of increase my quality little by little. With every video I put out, I kind of get this pressure where I want to like either meet the quality of the previous upload or exceed it. But what this means is eventually you get to this point where I'm at right now, where like every upload takes a lot of time and effort, and they're like topics that I really dive in deep with. So it takes a long time to put these videos out. You know, when I started the channel, my editing process was much more easy. I didn't have to put a lot of visual elements on screen. My scripts were way shorter and frankly not as good as they are now, in my opinion. So you know, those videos were a lot easier to pump out. I could make a video like my original style. I could make one of those like every 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. Now, if I wanted to do like that Akainu vid I put up, if I wanted to do that's gonna take, that's like a month. That's like a month's project to like make a video that's that level of, you know, quality in between everything else. So I feel bad about that because it's like the upload frequency is very low, and that's something my channel's always struggled with, is upload frequency. So what I want to do is, because we're doing this new stream format, and this is where I see it as like, this is two birds with one stone. Why not do this? If I'm doing the review format for my chapter streams instead of the reaction, while I'm doing this stream, I actually have my WavePad application recording my audio right now. And what I want to do is, after the stream's over, I want to take the audio from this stream, from me reviewing the chapter, from me talking about concepts, from me, you know, describing my theories. I want to take that audio and I want to just edit it into a proper Hidden Island video. And I think if I do that, they're going to be like shorter videos. They're obviously not going to be as in-depth as some of my main ones. But I can edit the audio together to make like, basically like supplemental content for the channel, like me talking about the most recent events, talking about the recent chapter, and just and making it like a video, like a standard video that you guys want to see. So I think that would be good. It would keep people coming back. It keeps content up on the channel. Damn, everyone's saying the lag is like rough. Ah, jeez, man. What is going on? You see, the problem is that I see people saying they're good, but then it's like half the chat is saying that this is like unwatchable right now. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna power through it. Screw it, man. I guess it's just region dependent. But yeah, so the idea is, this is a two birds with one stone thing. I do the discussions with you guys here, and then I take that audio and I turn it into a video for the main channel for people that don't like to watch the streams. We only get like a few hundred people in here tops, so like there's definitely a large portion of the channel that doesn't watch the streams. They're missing out on all these discussions. It'd be really cool to just cut it together into a video and upload it. And that'll be kind of the way to hold people over. So that's gonna be the strategy moving forward for the channel. So when I upload the next video this week, don't be surprised if it's what you've already heard today. I guess in the case of some of the guys experiencing lag, it's gonna be new for you because you're not actually hearing me talk right now. But yeah. Basically what I'm trying to say is don't be surprised when you start hearing, like, if you watch a new video from me and it's like a more current discussion video, it's a shorter video, and you're like, oh wait, he talked about this on the stream. That's because I'm going to be using the audio from these streams. That's the way I think I'm going to be doing it. And I'm still working on the Wano critique, but Wano's the longest arc in the story, and there's a lot of things I have to say. So obviously that's a very long video, that's a long project, and I don't want to just leave the channel dead until I finish it. So I want to put stuff up in the meantime. So that's what I'm gonna do. So with that out of the way, that's the breakdown of where the channel's at right now. So thanks again for 40,000 subs. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate all the support thus far. We've had this channel up for 2 years pretty much. I think it's been almost 2 years since I put up my Gear 5th theory. My original, that was my second video I ever uploaded. I believe it was in October of 2021. And yeah, it's been about 2 years now since the channel started, and we're at 40K. So thank you guys so much. And with that out of the way, let's talk about the new chapter. I want to do a quickish review, talking about some ideas, talking about some theories, and then I'm going to be asking you guys what you think. What are some of your theories? What have you guys been thinking of with this chapter? So we'll get there, but in the meantime, thank you for the $5, Javon Johnson. He said, I like this idea. I think that Buccaneer discussion was incredible last stream, and more people need to hear it. Yeah, so that's a great example. Like, I want to use, like, all that Buccaneer stuff, I want to turn that into a video and put that into the YouTube algorithm, so that starts showing up for people in the recommended, right? They're not going to really get recommended my stream talking about the Buccaneers, but if I took that and made it into a dedicated video, that would be more likely to reach people. So I think that's the plan. I think that's the best way to go about things, and it cuts out the whole scripting process for some of my videos. So it's good. So thank you for the donation, man. CRW says, hey bro, hope you're doing well. The OP GOAT. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, anyone that's just getting here, if you're lagging hard, I'm sorry. This is something that a bunch of people have been experiencing on the streams, and unfortunately, I think it's just region dependent. Killer Comedy asked for the accountability list. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, let's actually do that. Got that on the back here. Got my whiteboard. Hold on. Alright, we got our accountability list as always, my friends. If your name is on the accountability list, if you see your name here, Just gonna read through. We got Partha, we got Daniel C, we got Mu, we got ZMP, we got Atlas, we got Hassan, we got Francisco, we got AYG, we got Debus, we got Silmo, we got Vagabond Valley, we got Camden Smorky, we got JD Cub, we got Lukatsky, we got LGO, we got Chaozu, we got Jackson Brown, we got Johannes, we got Majin Crow, we got Prince of All Anime, we got Krishna, we got I Was I, and we got Johann Bachman. They my boys. All of you, if your name is on here, I'm holding you accountable today. I hope you've been cooking this past week or 2 weeks. I hope you guys have been up to some good stuff, working on your goals, working towards whatever you've been working towards. I have. I've been going to boxing. I've been cooking on my end. As a matter of fact, I had a pretty good past couple days of training, and it actually hurts me to move right now. My body's very, very sore. So that's been my contribution towards my goal, my boxing side project, my little side quest. But I hope all you guys are doing your stuff and cooking, as always, as I expect of my sons. Why is he flowing so hard with the list? I just got natural. I got built-in flow. I just got the built-in flow state. But yeah, guys, let's talk about this chapter. In the meantime, hit me with some updates, some life updates in the chat if anyone wants to. I'd be happy to read that. But yeah. All right, so we got 1096. Kumachi. It's like Teddy. It's like calling him like Teddy Bear. So this chapter is very interesting to me because it's supposed to be a chapter. I mean, Kuma's namesake is in the chapter. It's like a big chapter about Kuma, right? But to me, I feel like the whole point of this chapter was more so to just give us our first real sneak peek into what God Valley is and what it's all about. What happened at God Valley, right? We have now 150 rare rabbits. As a clarification here. So we have 150 people of special importance to be hunted down. I'm not sure what makes these rabbits special or rare. I'm assuming they also happen to be part of like either special races, or these are prisoners from other kingdoms or something. I don't know what makes these guys special, but I think it's important to keep in mind because we know how they treated Kuma in this case, how he's considered a highly valuable target, being a buccaneer. So I wonder what determines the other rare rabbits here. But thankfully, we do get a little bit of clarification that each of those rare rabbits is worth 10,000 points. The last chapter, when that came out, a big worry of mine was that when Garland got the handicap at the beginning for killing the king, that was a 10,000 point, a negative 10,000 point difference that was applied to his score. So I was thinking like, damn, how much is one person worth? Because if he has to make up 10,000 points, and we know he's the champion of God Valley, we know he came out of this as the winner. Did he kill 10,000 people? Like, what's the situation with that? That's pretty horrifying. Turns out here, it's not necessarily the case. I mean, it's still a horrible scenario, but one of the rare rabbits is enough. And I keep saying rabbits. These are obviously people. I don't mean to use the derogatory terms the celestial dragons are using here, but just for the sake of simple discussion. Turns out just one of these rare targets would be 10,000. So, you know, Garling, I mean, he's still a mass murderer, but not to the horrifying degree that I was implying he was in the last chapter, or at least I thought he was. So, just some interesting little details showing the rules. We seem to have an introduction to a couple of God Knights here that aren't Garling. I'm going to assume these are all God Knights. Now, one thing that first came to mind, I was reading this chapter. First thing that came to me, this one here. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if there is a connection. I couldn't tell you what it is exactly. But this God Knight, or this Celestial Dragon, looks kind of like York to me. I don't know. Is that just me, guys? I kind of get York vibes from this one. Now, I don't know how that would work in terms of, like, you know, the connection to Vegapunk. It's possible, and this is something we might learn about later, that while Vegapunk split his brain between the clones, maybe something about the lineage factor used to create the bodies, right? the bodies of each of the clones may not be from Vegapunk, right? Because, I mean, Vegapunk doesn't look anything like his clones. They all look like completely different shapes and sizes and anatomies and so on and so forth. We don't have an example, as far as I'm aware, unless we're assuming that the clones are originally created. We don't have an example of Vegapunk creating like a person from scratch. The people that we've seen Vegapunk create, whether it be the Seraphim, the Pacifista, you know, whatever it is, they're all clones of an existing person. So we have the Seraphim, who use the lineage factor from existing warlords, and we have the Pacifista, which obviously use Kuma's lineage factor. We have Stussy, who was cloned from, Buckingham Stussy's lineage factor. And we have all the Vegapunk clones. But we don't really know where their designs came from, where their likenesses came from. And I think it's just interesting to me that this one happens to look very similar to York. And York was the one that has this like ingrained desire to become a celestial dragon. So, what does that mean? Could it be that Vegapunk has been using the lineage factor provided to him by the world government? So the world government provided him the lineage factor for all the warlords, which he would use to make the Seraphim and the Pacifista. They provided him with the lineage factor to like make those devil fruit powers and put them in different people's bodies, in the Seraphim's body. It could be that they also provided him with the lineage factor of celestial dragons or something like that, or world nobles, in order to create his clones, maybe. I don't know, just something to think about. So it could be that his clones are made from other people, taking their lineage factor, combining it with his brain, taking part of his brain and sticking it in a clone made from someone else's lineage factor, and then you get one of the many Vegapunks. So if he had taken this Manmeyer, whoever this Manmeyer family person is, I'm assuming they're part of that family here. If the Manmeyer family or their lineage factor made its way into Vegapunk's lab, and he made York using that lineage factor and then put a piece of his brain, or put his brain into that clone, the Manmeyer clone, it could be that that's the reason that York turned on Vegapunk, that York maybe has some desire to become a celestial dragon because it's ingrained in their blood, in their lineage factor. So that's just that's something I've been thinking about. That this is a really minor detail here, but I just think it's worth considering, because it's we don't have a lot to work off of or whatever, but it's just a weird appearance. I don't know, the kind of like ovular face, the tongue, the hair even kind of just feels reminiscent, and the fact that they're celestial dragons. So yeah, I'm sorry guys. I see some people saying Anton said the stream is lagging. I'll replay or watch the YouTube summary vid later. Have a good one. Peace out. Yeah, I'm sorry guys. Look, if you guys aren't having an easy time watching the stream because of the connection, or I don't know, if YouTube is lagging in your area and it's making it hard to watch, no hard feelings. If you guys want to hop out and then come back for the VOD, or whenever I make the video using this audio, that I think that'll be fine too. Like, so no hard feelings. If you guys have to bounce, if it's not, pulling through for you, the stream's not working, I don't mind. That's okay. But there's going to be a bunch of ways to experience this discussion in the coming week with the other options, so I'll make it work for you guys, I promise. So, with the York stuff out of the way, the next interesting bit of information we get, I mean, aside from the fact that this is obviously a horrible, horrible slaughter that's occurring here, this is probably one of the worst things we've seen from the Celestial Dragons in the entire story, if not the worst. This is like one of the most awful, cruel things imaginable. And it's just kind of crazy to me that while this is happening, Garp's just kind of lounging. You know what I mean? Like, I get that he's he doesn't want anything to do with the world government. He doesn't want anything to do with the Celestial Dragons, their business. So he's just kind of lounging on this poolside chair and just taking in the sun here. But it's just kind of crazy to like juxtapose that, you know what I mean? But before we get to Garp, let's talk about the fact that we have Fleet Admiral Kong here. We get to see Kong finally do anything, literally something, like in the story. Kong has done absolutely nothing up until now, and I guess he really hasn't done anything still, if we're being real. But I just think it's interesting to see, you know, a little bit of his personality come through in this chapter, especially when it's placed next to such a serious moment, to see how Kong is kind of receiving this information or reacting to it. So, you know, we see him say here, our reports haven't been verified, but if the danger is real, it'll be a disaster. So it's funny, right? Because it's like he's more concerned about pirates pulling up to this island than about the Celestial Dragon's brutal killing game. He doesn't seem to care too much about that. And honestly, neither does Garp. And this is the point I wanted to get to, where he goes, you want me to go way out to the boonies to fight? What's the point? You know, so it's like he doesn't seem to give a shit about this. He might not even know exactly what's happening at God Valley. That's also a possibility. But you know, this line is interesting here. And we're gonna probably spend an extended amount of time this stream talking about this little exchange, as well as I think it gets brought up a little bit later. But let's read through it. This is about the Celestial Dragon's little field trip, isn't it? Excuse me. Why should I care if they're in trouble? I always said it would come back to bite you if you messed with Hachinosu. It's their own damn fault for poking the hive. Sorry. Ugh. Ginger ale. What did they expect? So this is the kicker, right? What did they expect? You don't just swipe the crown jewel of Pirate Island. Of course they'd come to get it back. Where in the world did you hear about that? You must have assigned them extra protection to compensate for their stupidity, right? So, what's got you flustered? Well, there's something we didn't account for. It seems Roger's on the move there too. Lead with that next time. I'm on my way. So Roger is the guy that... Roger needed to be mentioned to get Garp out of his chair. Interesting. So Garp is more concerned about Roger than he's concerned about Rox, which is something I didn't... I don't know if I was expecting that, right? Because we always knew Garp was the one that was on Roger's tail the whole time. He was like Roger's marine rival. But for some reason, he doesn't seem concerned with the idea of the Rox pirates going to fight the Celestial Dragons, right? Isn't that something that you would think, like, given the reputation that the Rox pirates have, given the reputation that Hachinosu has, and, you know, all the people involved in that crew, how Garp talks about it down the line in the future, you would think he'd be a little bit more pressed about this. He'd be like, okay, we have the entire Rox crew on the move right now to go fight some Celestial Dragons. I don't really care about that. Let them deal with it. They're idiots. That's their fault. Oh, but Roger's coming. Oh, shit, I gotta get there. This is a problem. Why? Why is it a problem? Right? Why is he worried about Roger in particular? Why is Rox not a problem to him, but Roger is? And I think that might have something to do with the way that God Valley ends and the way it finally plays out. But what I want to focus on is the crown jewel of Pirate Island, this thing that gets mentioned here. Now, I have two potential options for what the crown jewel is. It's one of two things in my mind. And I had a conversation, a very extended conversation in private with Dax Sake yesterday. We were talking about it, and we definitely have very different opinions about what this treasure is, but I think that over the course of that discussion, some good ideas came up. He gave me some challenges to my ideas, and it helped me come to a second conclusion, because I only had one originally. Helped me come to a second conclusion that I think is also a possibility, so I want to talk about both. Now, they beat us too at the Rox pirates have already set sail. We've got to get going too. Hurry up. So this is an interesting line here too. This is the way it's worded. I think is pretty interesting. That the Rocks pirates have already set sail. So the people on Hachinosu are talking about the Rocks crew as if they are a separate entity from themselves. The Rocks pirates, not like our crew has already set sail or Rocks has already set sail. No, the Rocks pirates have already set sail, as if that's another crew and they set sail from the island already. We've got to get going to hurry up. This is going to shake the pirate world to its core. So I just think it's interesting that Pirate Island is not necessarily all just like a Rocks crew island. It seems to be an island for all pirates of all kinds. It's not just the Rocks pirates there. It's just the Rocks pirates that seem to run the show. Rocks runs the show on Pirate Island. He's like the king pirate. But this seems to be a port made up of many, many crews. Just by the way this language is used here. It's made up of many crews with different objectives, with different motives, and they're following in Rox's footsteps, because if Rox is making a move here, I mean, why shouldn't we? We should go follow him. We should get in on that action. So I think that's interesting. So let's talk about what the treasure is, right? What do you guys think the treasure is? I saw a couple people mention one of the things I think it is, but I don't know if anyone mentioned the other. So I'll start with the one that I've already seen mentioned in the chat. I think, and yes, that's true, Delcor, Pirate Island is definitely the One Piece world version of Tortuga. And we're going to get to that, actually, because Tortuga is an important island as far as Buccaneer history goes, if I'm not mistaken. So, and that's in the real world. Buccaneers, I'm pretty sure, did defend the island of Tortuga. And I talked about this idea a little bit on Randy's stream, but I have the strong inclination, and I talked about this on the last one too, the strong idea or inclination that Buccaneers are the originators of what we know as piracy in One Piece. They're the race that started the whole concept and practice of piracy, and that was the grave sin that Buccaneers committed, and because they're the original pirates, the world government condemned them to slavery forever. So I think that, the idea that this Tortuga equivalent exists in the One Piece world, and now we're learning about Buccaneers, and Buccaneers may have been the start of piracy. And well, I'll finish out this thought actually when we get to the second treasure potential, the second potential treasure. So first treasure, you guys have guessed it, it's correct. In my opinion, there's a good chance it's Roger's egg. I think the crown jewel of Pirate Island is very likely to be either Roger's egg or something else. Let's explain the Roger's egg thing. It doesn't seem like, we're going to see later in the chapter. This is very early in Roger's career. Now, the crown jewel of Pirate Island, we've been wondering about this egg that's been on Roger's ship the entire time. We've seen all the flashbacks with Roger. We've seen his ship. We saw the Oro Jackson. There's this big giant like Yoshi egg that's like on the ship. It's sitting there, and we've been wondering this whole time is like, what's the deal with that egg? What's going on with that egg? What's it gonna hatch? What's inside? Where'd he get it? Why has he had it this entire time? The way I think it went down is that this egg may have originated at Hachinosu, and the Celestial Dragons maybe pulled up to the island and they stole it from the island, maybe to add it to their collection. We know how they are. You see the way that they treat Kuma. They kind of treat him like a trophy for being a rare race. He's a Buccaneer. Look, he's a Buccaneer. It's like they treat them almost like some sort of like collectible or trophy thing. And it's, this is par for the course with the Celestial Dragon. So this is not new behavior from them. Here we have a situation where they may have stolen an egg from Pirate Island for a similar reason. Oh, this is a rare thing. I know what this is. I want to have this in my collection. I want to bring this back home. So what could be in the egg? Well, it's possible that there could be a real dragon inside that egg. We don't have any big examples of real dragons in the story. We have Kaido, who is a dragon by virtue of his devil fruit. We have an artificial dragon. We have a couple artificial dragons made at Punk Hazard. And then we have the dragon that Ryuma fought. But Ryuma fought that dragon so long ago that it doesn't even fall in the present timeline of the One Piece story. Even close. Not even. I'm pretty sure it's if I'm not mistaken, it's pre-Void Century. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Pre-Void Century Wano. But yeah, there's no like modern dragons. There's no dragons anywhere in One Piece. This is kind of like a Game of Thrones situation, where dragons are known to have existed. They're real, but they can only be accessed through these kind of like, in One Piece's case, there's like these kind of I don't know what the word is, but like workaround methods for acquiring dragons, whether it be by devil fruit or lab made, but there's no like natural dragons. So where'd they all go? I feel like a giant egg that seems to have not hatched, it takes a long time to hatch, so much so that it was on Roger's ship for a majority of his career, presumably, and it still hadn't hatched. That sounds like a creature like a dragon. You know, dragons live a very long time. Their eggs, typically in fantasy, tend to remain dormant for a very long time. K. Maya said Ryuma was 400 years ago, not pre-Void Century, just halfway back. Okay, well that's good to know. That makes sense. Well, then there was a dragon. We know for a fact then there was a real dragon 400 years ago. That's still a large gap of time. It's possible that that dragon died after Ryuma killed it, and there was no other dragons. That could have been maybe the only one left at the time. Who knows? That'll have to be a blank that Oda fills in later. But I just think it's interesting that we have this gap in time where there's potentially no dragons out there, and we have this egg that's been sitting there on Pirate Island for a very long time, and it's considered this crown jewel of the island. Now, what I think would make sense is if a celestial dragon stole this egg with the knowledge that it's a dragon egg. That would be very fitting, right? Because think about it. You are a celestial dragon. You consider yourself a god of the world. This is a mythical creature, extremely rare, and it bears your likeness. It's a dragon. It's the very thing you're named after. You're a dragon. You call yourself a dragon. This is a real dragon. Wouldn't you want to own a dragon as a pet? Like, just put yourself in the mind of Charlos. Put yourself in the mind of Charlos or Roswald or any of these fucking idiots. Oh, it's a dragon egg. That could make for a good pet, Daddy. I could eat my tea and crumpets on the backs of my slave while looking at my dragon in the morning. Please, Daddy, can I have it? Can I have the dragon egg, Daddy? Please. Sure, son. You can have this dragon egg. Take it. Take it from Rocks and put it on your ship, son. I love you, son. When we go back to Mary Joie, I'm going to kiss you later, son. Good job, son. Good job, Charlos. I love you so much. I love you so much, my son. We celestial dragons must keep the bloodline pure, Charlos. Come to my bedroom tomorrow night and I'll give you congratulations personally on your new dragon egg. Oh, yes, Daddy! Oh, yes! That's probably what happened, word for word. So, just think about this scenario, will you, gentlemen? Think about how this may have played out. Think about how this may have played out. So they stole the egg. They stole the egg, and obviously Rox wants to get the egg back. So, Rox goes over to God Valley. He sails all the way there. We're going to get this egg back. But as we know, at the end of God Valley, Rox fails. He presumably dies. Rox is dead. So Rox definitely didn't succeed in his goal of getting back the treasure, the crown jewel of Pirate Island. He didn't succeed in it. That's where Roger comes in. Because Roger was the third party no one was expecting. Roger was this wild card that kind of got thrown into the mix, right? If Roger didn't pull up, we would have had Rox versus the God Knights and the Celestial Dragons. Rox would have pulled up, probably succeeded because he wouldn't have had Roger to fight back against him. And then in the process, he would have gotten the egg back and gotten away and blah, blah, blah. Victory for Rox. But that's not what happened. Roger came in, he stole the show, and then I think he actually literally stole the egg. I think that's what Roger escaped from God Valley with, was two things. Shanks, baby Shanks, possibly even baby Buggy. That's something we don't have a confirmation of yet, because we don't know where Buggy came from. Buggy is the same age as Shanks. It's possible Roger got away from God Valley with baby Shanks, baby Buggy, and then baby Dragon in the form of a dragon egg. Not Monkey D. Dragon, but a baby dragon in the form of an egg. And that's what he escaped with. He kept that egg, dipped from the island. That's what happened. That's what I think is a very likely possibility for the crown jewel. And then I'm assuming at some point in Roger's career, or maybe even after he died, that egg possibly hatched, right? Because where did that egg go? Where has that egg been in the last 20 years? Roger died. He died on the execution stand. The crew split up. I think the last time we saw the Oro Jackson, it had the egg on it, right? Let's think about that, right? Where could this egg be? Well, what if I were to present an idea to you guys that kind of wraps things together in a very nice, neat bow? Where would this egg be right now? What did that hatch into, and where is it? Well, if they had the egg on the ship when Roger left, that means that someone that isn't Roger took that ship and continued sailing with it. Well, we know Rayleigh didn't do that, because Rayleigh doesn't have the ship right now. Now, here's something to think about. Recently in the story, we've had a mysterious character get introduced to us. And this is a character that is apparently has a lot of knowledge about the poneglyphs, the Void Sentry, might actually have the answers for how to get to Laugh-Tale, according to Eustace Kid, according to some people. This is a character called the Man Marked by Flames. There's a man marked by flames riding around on a burned, charred black ship. So think about this scenario, guys. Think about the possibility. If this egg hatched into a dragon aboard Roger's original ship, that dragon may have hatched and scorched the whole ship. Might have lit the whole ship up and charred it black. So maybe the dragon is powerful enough to create whirlpools in the ocean. So let me ask you now. If there's a man that was sailing this ship with the egg on board, and he was there for this hatching, he may have been marked by flames. So I'm positing that Scopper Gaban is the man marked by flames, and he's marked by the hatching of the dragon that was in that egg, that not only burned him, but burned the Oro Jackson. And now Scopper is traveling around with the fucking dragon, causing whirlpools and so on and so forth. And that's the crown jewel that was taken from Hachinosu. That's what it was. That's the deal. Okay? So, that's the first idea. That's the first idea of what the crown jewel of Pirate Island is. The second idea. Now, Dak has definitely contested this to me enough to make me consider that maybe this isn't the case. This may be a little bit harder of a circumstance to make work. But the second idea, in terms of the crown jewel for Pirate Island, is the giant straw hat. I think there's a possibility the giant straw hat may have been the crown jewel of Pirate Island. Now, the reason I think this ties back into my whole thing with the Buccaneers last week and what I was talking about earlier on the stream, where the Buccaneers, if they were this race that maybe is the in-between point of piracy, they're the reason that piracy as a concept has become so popular in the modern day and age. If it's the Buccaneers that are at fault for that, I'm willing to believe that Hachinosu was created by the Buccaneers. This is originally a Buccaneer island, right? Pirate Island Well, buccaneer is often used as a synonym for pirate. In fact, in the real world, and possibly even in One Piece, buccaneers are like the progenitors of Golden Age pirates, of standard swashbuckling pirates. It started with the buccaneers. So you could almost say Pirate Island is the same thing as calling it Buccaneer Island. Almost. It has a real world equivalency in the island of Tortuga. And I'm just going to look this up. I'm going to double check. But if I'm not mistaken, the Buccaneers famously... Yep. So, I just looked this up on Google. Tortuga, meaning turtle in Spanish, is an island off the northern coast of Haiti. In the golden age of piracy, the island was known for being a pirate haven. The rocky island was protected by a strong fort and provided safe anchorage for French buccaneers between raids on Spanish ships. As a matter of fact, and this is when I was reading more in depth to it, buccaneers were very well known for protecting islands, for they were almost seen as heroes, right? They protected various islands from raids of Spanish fleets and so on and so forth. They protected Tortuga. That was like a big one that they protected. It's one of the reasons it was able to remain a pirate haven, was that buccaneers stayed there and protected it. So it's very possible that Pirate Island was created by the buccaneers 900 years ago or whatever as a haven for other buccaneers, for pirates, for, so on and so forth. Very direct real world equivalency. And we have, the whole thing with the giants being based off of Vikings, who were like the OG pirates. We have humans being based off Golden Age pirates, and the buccaneer race being humans with giant blood, almost, kinda. And then buccaneers as a concept being in between of old style pirates and new age pirates. So it all kind of works together. It fits together. Well, why does this make sense for the giant straw hat being the crown jewel of the island? The reason I think this works is because Joy Boy, if that's Joy Boy's hat, we don't have a confirmation it is, but if we're assuming the giant straw hat belongs to Joy Boy, based on its size, there's a good chance that Joy Boy was a buccaneer, right? And the buccaneers are a race of people that basically started the whole idea of resistance against the world government. We have this line later in the chapter from, where is it here? Here it is. We have this whole thing. Let me read this out loud to you guys. What Saturn says to Kuma here. You're the buccaneer brat. You can either live as a slave or die. Nothing else can be tolerated for someone of your ilk. So, you can either be a slave or die. You can't tolerate anything else out of a buccaneer. Why? What did the buccaneers do that was so terrible? That is what the tides of time have decided. And then Kuma says, if you're born to be a slave, then what's the point in being born at all? If I have some kind of power now, I'm going to use it to save as many people as I possibly can. Just like Nika. So, this connection of, not only is Nika part of the Buccaneer folklore specifically, it's like a Buccaneer folktale. We got that from Kuma's dad, Clap. We know now that Nika is not just any story, it's one that's told, that's been passed down through the Buccaneers. We know that Kuma wants to be just like Nika. And we know that because Kuma wants to be just like Nika using these powers, Saturn says that is precisely why your people needed to be erased, right? This is a really important line here. That is precisely why your people, not just you, right? Not just Kuma. He says your people needed to be erased for the exact reason you just stated. If I have the power, I'm going to use it to save people just like Nika. So this is not just a concept that's unique to Kuma. This is all the Buccaneers that want to be like Nika as a whole. This is a common trait of their people, which makes them a target of the world government's ire. So, because of this, it makes more sense to me that I know I used to say that Nika was a Lunarian. Of course, at the time, I didn't know about Buccaneers. No one did, so I worked with what I had. It seems a lot more likely now that Nika was a Buccaneer. At the very least, part Buccaneer. And Kuma and all the Buccaneer people have descended from Nika, potentially. So, if Pirate Island is a creation of the Buccaneers, if piracy is something that was born from the Buccaneer people as a way to resist the power of the world government, if the straw hat, the giant straw hat, is Nika's hat, if it's Joy Boy's hat, then it would make sense for me, it would make sense to me that the crown jewel of said pirate island, of the Buccaneer Island, their crown jewel, their secret treasure that's so important to them, might be Joy Boy's straw hat. It might have been the giant straw hat. Another detail that for me, this is maybe a personal bias, this connects to one of my own theories, but I talked about in my earlier theories, I mentioned how the straw hat and what the symbolism of the straw hat is that it might be the crown of the sun god. Like, the meaning of the straw hat is not just that it's a straw hat, it's that it's actually meant to be a crown. And the reason I came to that conclusion originally was when I was looking at all the connections in One Piece, how it connected to the Romans and the Roman Empire and some of that history. Well, the emperor of the Romans was typically given something called the grass crown. It's a crown made of leaves, a crown made of straw, specifically. Technically not straw, but all the ingredients that are used to make straw, it's pretty much a crown made of straw. It's a little crown you put on. It's made of plants of the earth. It's meant to symbolize that we are of the earth. We take our, we're part of the earth. We're not above, the realm that we live in. We care for, I don't know what the whole fucking symbolism is off the top of my head, but the point is, you get what I'm saying. The idea was that they did have grass crowns. And there's a lot of various comparisons between the ancient kingdom and the Greeks and the Romans and that sort of era of history, because we have the ancient weapons that are named after Greek and Roman gods. We have a lot of references to that sort of culture in the architecture and stuff like that, when we're looking at places like Fishman Island and so on. The whole idea of the fall of the ancient kingdom being paralleled with the fall of Rome, and the fact that Nika is so high in importance in this subject matter, in this era, speaks to me that maybe it's possible that, they were very inspired by the Romans in a way. And they had a crown made of straw, the same way the Romans had a crown made of straw and grass. And for them, it was the straw hat. And why is it the crown of the sun god? Well, because when you look at the straw hat from the side, I can even show you this with the straw hat that I have here. And if you guys like my shorts, there's my Nika shorts. So we're keeping to the theming here. But if you look at the straw hat from the side, I know it doesn't translate as well here, but if you look at it from the side, it almost looks like a sun setting on the horizon, right? Like it's obviously, it works better when it's drawn in the manga to represent that symbolism. But the idea is, this is the horizon, the flat plane of the hat, and the round part is the sun rising, and it's yellow, and you have the red separating the top from the horizon itself, so it kind of like evokes this imagery of a rising sun. So we have this hat that like evokes this rising sun imagery. Sunrise, sunset, more specifically the dawn. It represents the dawn. The hat itself is the dawn. So it's, in my opinion, very likely that this is the crown of Joy Boy, or the sun god, or whoever the king is of the ancient kingdom, or whatever, the pirate king. So what is the point I'm trying to get to with this is that if this is a crown and they're calling it the crown jewel of Pirate Island, like it literally uses the word crown in the terminology, I don't know. To me, that could be a helpful piece of information to tie it in there. But like I said earlier, that's a little bit of my bias coming through, because that does tie into my own theory. That's not really a part of the story, but that's just kind of a way I'm trying to make it all connect together. Now, here are the issues with it being the straw hat that make it not super guaranteed. Number one, Duarte brought up, he said, my main issue is that the straw hat being caged inside the red line symbolizes the world of One Piece devoid of freedom for the past 800 years. Yeah, that's not really overtly stated in the story, right? So like I agree with you that it does serve as a good symbol of the world, or like what the world used to be, being in stasis or something along those lines, because it's like stuck in this frozen vault. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's impossible that it was not in Mary Joie, you know, for the whole 800 years. I think there's a possibility that hat may have been elsewhere and then it got moved there. So I could see it being where the hat was stolen from the island. The Celestial Dragons took it. They go to God Valley. Maybe one of them goes to God Valley with the hat, or they don't even have the hat there. It gets sent straight to Mary Joie and stuffed in the vault. And then we have the Rocks pirates arrive at the island, and the big problem is like, okay, well, Pirate Island is in the New World and God Valley is in the West Blue. So why would they take this important, mega important hat to the Void Century, take it all the way from the New World to the West Blue, and then to Mary Joie? That was what Dak brought up to me. I agree with that. I think that's also a good point, right? So like, there's a few reasons, like, yeah, this hat's super important. It kind of symbolizes the world, like Duarte said. It symbolizes the world kind of being stuck, right, for 800 years. The fact that it would have to have gotten transported all over the place, despite being such an item of importance, that does make it a little bit difficult to write. But there's one thing that kind of makes it work, where, here we go. So they come to the island, all the Rocks pirates pull up to get this treasure, and Whitebeard, the first line that Whitebeard says when they land on the island is, "That moron Rocks is bound to lose sight of our main goal. We've got to confirm it's here first." So he's talking about confirming the item they're looking for, the treasure they came there for. We have to confirm it's even there. It's possible that if it was the hat, it's not actually currently at God Valley, but Rocks chose to attack God Valley because, you know, where else there's not many other places Celestial Dragons congregate besides Sabaody and the Red Line. So, you know, this is like their one shot at maybe getting it back. I could see that working out. It could have been that they stole it from Pirate Island and immediately shipped it over to Mary Joie. The hat's not actually there at the island right now, and it's in the vault by this point in the story. That's also, you know, the way it could have worked. So, you know, a little bit shakier, not as clean of a setup as the egg. But I think that there is a real possibility that the hat that Emu went and visited was not there 40 years ago. It could have been that was actually on Pirate Island originally, and this is a safeguarded treasure that was there. Now, obviously, you know, with the Scopper Gaban connection, with all the other details, with the way that the egg fits much more neatly into the story, in my opinion, I do think, you know, I put some thought into it, I do think the egg is the more likely answer. It's probably not the Straw Hat, but I just want to keep that second possibility open, that the crown jewel of Pirate Island may have been the giant Straw Hat. That's something I also want to, you know, I want to put that out there as well. So I want to keep both possibilities on the table. But while we're here looking at the Rocks Pirates, let's talk a little bit about who we have on the page, front and center. Pretty dope. We have Whitebeard right here. We have Stussy clinging onto his shoulder. So they definitely had some kind of relationship. Definitely. We have Shiki doing Shiki stuff over here. So it's really cool. Finally, we get to see Shiki on page. We see his clothes that he's wearing. This is pretty much a confirmation that Shiki is the one on that one cover story where Crocus is having a drink with some random dude in like a straw hat kind of thing, and he has the cloak on. We only see him from the back. It's not exactly clear, just heavily implied that it's Shiki. This pretty much confirms it. That was Shiki. So Shiki is possibly still around right now. This is one of the implications I really love about this thing that's confirmed here, is that Shiki might actually still be alive, out and about somewhere in the One Piece world. That's pretty crazy. Big Mom there in the background, and Big Bitch behind Big Mom is also pulling up here, and of course he's chilling in the back. And he's the rookie of the crew, so he's not front and center with the rest of the squad because he's still kind of a noob. But I do think it's pretty fun that, you know, we just came off of a whole arc centered on Kaido, and we saw Kaido's ass get kicked, and now we're starting to get a little bit more insight into his crew dynamic here. But we get to see a little bit of each crew member say something. Here's another one I want to talk about. This chick here, Gloriosa. This is Boa's grandma, right? That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick. So she was a Rocks pirate. Dope. We have Captain John. I'm assuming, is that supposed to be Wang Shi in the background there? I'm not entirely sure if that's Wang Shi. I'm not, yeah, I'm still not totally sure who these two are in the bottom left, in the corner here, who that is in the background, who this fishman is over here. There's still a little bit of some question marks, but overall, I mean, it's so cool to just see the whole crew pull up, and you know, another cool thing I like to see is Roger with no mustache, I think, or like, you know, the startings, the beginnings of a mustache. It's not quite there yet, though. It seems like he's got a little bit of peach fuzz on his top lip, but Roger does not have the full mustache. It has not come in yet. So I just think that's fun little detail. It's cool to see how the Rocks or the Roger Pirates are looking at this point in time. Another insane detail, obviously everyone's been talking about this, so I don't want to just retread the ground that everyone already has, but, you know, Ivankov almost eating the dragon fruit is fucking insanity. That is insane. That is insane. I love that, too, because Oda had no need to do that. He could have just had the fruit get taken by Big Mom. He could have had Big Mom just snatch it out of the chest and that's it. But no, he teased the idea of Ivankov actually getting Kaido's fruit. And I just want to say, this, like, 30 seconds of, like, him holding the fruit and Big Mom snatching it before he could eat it. Like, if he just ate that fruit immediately, like, if Eva just ate that fruit, didn't even think about it, just ate it. Imagine how different the story would have played out. Like, Wano would have been a completely different arc. As a matter of fact, Wano might have never happened. Like, just think about that, right? If he ate this fruit, Wano may have never happened. That's fucking crazy. That is crazy to think about. But he doesn't eat the fruit. Big Mom snatches it. Obviously, she had some sort of, like, backroom deal with Kaido. She was going to give him this fruit. Here's another detail I noticed, I picked up in this chapter that kind of makes me, you know, gives us a little bit of insight potentially into the Rocks pirates. This is something to think about. You know, Blackbeard tends to be copying a lot of what Rocks did. Blackbeard set up his base on Pirate Island. He calls his ship the Saber of Zebek. You know, there's obviously some clear connections to how his crew formed and how the Rocks pirates formed. The way they act as a crew. There's a lot of similarities. Blackbeard is almost like the Rocks sequel. So, you know, it's interesting to me when you look at the lineup of Rocks pirates. All of them have devil fruits, with the exception of, I mean, all the ones that we, you know, all the main ones, the ones that would go on to become Yonko, like the front runners of the Rocks crew, all seem to have devil fruit abilities of some kind, with the exception of Kaido, at this point, who we know is going to get the dragon fruit. But we have Whitebeard with his devil fruit power. We have Stussy with her devil fruit power. We have Big Mom with her devil fruit power. Shiki, if the movie's canon, also has a devil fruit. I mean, if the movie's canon to the point of what his devil fruit is, then we know Shiki also has a devil fruit. So all of them have devil fruits. Presumably Rocks has a devil fruit too. So the way I see it, this is a crew of devil fruit users, just the same way that the Blackbeard pirates hunted devil fruit users, and they looked for devil fruits to power up their crew. It could be that the Rocks pirates functioned in the exact same way. So they pulled up to God Valley, partially with the knowledge that, hey, there's going to be a bunch of good devil fruits in chests there. Like, let's snag whatever you can before we leave. Like, get what you can and you know, let's add it into our arsenal. That might have been the objective here. So the way I imagine this went down with Big Mom and Kaido is possibly that, you know, this is part of their agreement. They're like, hey, you know, we're going to a place that has a lot of potentially good devil fruits. Rookie, you don't have a devil fruit power yet. We'll grab one for you. You know, hey, we have word that there's going to be the dragon fruit is going to be on this island. You know, I can get it for you, but you're going to owe me. Something like that. I don't know. But the way I see it is like, that has to be how it is, right? Like, wouldn't it make sense for the Rocks Pirates to parallel that behavior too? Everything else is paralleled with the Blackbeard Pirates, so why not the devil fruit hunting? That's the way I see it. So, I just think that's a cool detail. Another cool detail about the Rocks Pirates we get from this chapter is the way they talk about their captain. They all seem to be, you know, every man for himself, but it's just funny to see that, like, Whitebeard talks about Rocks as a moron. Shiki's like, who died and put you in charge? You know, interesting line from Kaido here. Kaido's like, looks like Roger's on his way as well. He's the one person and then gets cut off. What is he gonna say there? Like, there's like a lot of little details that are given. Maybe like the impression that like Rocks ran on ahead. Don't rush ahead, Rocks. And since when did I say I'd let an idiot like you give me orders? Newgate, not you too. Like, it almost sounds like they don't have respect for Rocks, or like Rocks is kind of like an idiot. Like, I don't know. Like, why do they talk about Rocks like this? Is he a Luffy type person? Right? Is he someone that's like actually kind of more of a Luffy-esque character, like not totally a bad guy? Is it possible that he is kind of an idiot, and that we have this like ominous portrait of Rocks in our head? Like, we have this idea of Rocks being this ominous, evil, horrible, powerful pirate, and it turns out he's kind of a dumbass. He's kind of silly. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I'd be ready for that. And this is something to consider, right? I see someone mention it in chat. This is something that's been on my mind too. I think it's fun to think about. But, you know, one question that just keeps... it's in my head the whole time I'm reading this chapter. Guys, I know I didn't do the reaction, but what, you know, you didn't see it, but when I was reading this chapter, I promise you, this is my reaction, like, spot on. I got to, like, the end of this flashback, and then I just started, like, I was just mad. I was like, man, don't cut away. They're, like, at the end of God Valley, and it says, this fateful incident would soon be obscured by the shadows of history. You gotta understand, like, at this point in the chapter, when I'm reading this, I'm like, they're gonna show us Rocks' face. We're gonna get the Rocks face reveal this chapter. We're gonna see what he looks like. That's crazy. And then we cut away, and then we end the flashback at God Valley, and we never see Rocks. And I'm floored. I'm like, no way you're blue-balling me like this, Oda. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to do it for the gag, but like, I considered being like, all right, guys, today's word of the day is blue balls, because Oda really hit me hard this last week. He blue-balled the shit out of me with this. Doesn't give us the Rocks face reveal. So all I could think of after reading this was like, why? Why do all of this stuff? Yes, the true Toby was there for when I read this, so he can vouch for this reaction. Why not show Rocks' face? Why not show it? What is he hiding? What is Oda hiding from us with this guy's face that we haven't seen yet? And I don't know, man. There's a few potential... there's a few realities with this. I mean, there's a good chance the reason we haven't seen Rocks' face is, and we all know the answer deep down inside, it's because Rocks looks like someone else. That's why Oda isn't showing us, right? Because it's too early. It's too early to show us who is Rocks' relative or child. But I think that once we see what Rocks looks like, a lot will become clear. And I see people saying in chat, what if fucking... what if Rocks has a clown nose? Are you ready for that? Are you guys ready for that? That's it. That's what I'm on that boat too, guys. I'm starting to think, after this chapter, after this shit, bro, oh my god, there's a good chance that Rocks is a fucking... It's Buggy. It's like he's related to Buggy, man. Buggy is the same age as Shanks. Think about this, okay? We have Figarland Garling. We have Figarland Garling on this island. And then we have Shanks, who was found as a baby. And it's very likely that Shanks is Garling's child. Now, it's also equally possible that Rox pulls up to the island and Rox has a kid that's also the same age as Garling's kid, and that kid has a fucking clown nose. And that Buggy and Shanks are the children of Rox and Garling respectively. And that both of them were taken by Roger at God Valley. And now we have Roger leaving the island with the fucking dragon egg, and then with baby Rox Buggy, baby Buggy D Rox, and baby Shanks D Garling, whatever. I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm talking about? Like, that's kind of crazy. Like because like, why else would you not show the face? Why are you hiding the face? Why wouldn't you show us? What are you hiding, Oda? It's gotta be something. Like, the only explanation is this guy's face is so distinct that the moment you see it, you're like, okay, like, oh, it's his dad. It's Blank's dad. Like it has to be a character whose face will give that away, which is why Oda can't show it to us right now. He can't show it to us. It's even more interesting to think about, you know, how the Cross Guild is going to work out, because if the Cross Guild is like the true successor to the Rox Pirates in a way, it could be that Buggy, you know, like Buggy is like inadvertently, like unknowingly walking in the footsteps of Rox with like, he wants to be the Pirate King too. Buggy wants to go find the One Piece. He got Mihawk on his crew. He has Crocodile on his crew. There's a chance that after Marco and you know, after they after like they go to Impel Down and they do a second Impel Down breakout, it could be that Doflamingo gets out of Impel Down. We got Weevil coming out of Impel Down. We have, you know, Moria might leave because he had those issues on Hachinosu with Blackbeard. It could be all the warlords come together under the banner of the Cross Guild. And just like how Rox had a crew of people that would go on to become all the fucking future Yonko, it could be. I mean, look at the Rox Pirates, the fact that they have like Gloriosa on there. Like that's one of the Kuja. Like Boa could end up as part of the Cross Guild. Think about that, right? Like if Boa also ends up part of the Cross Guild, now we have like we have a lot more of a close connection to what Rox as a crew was in the form of Cross Guild. I mean, they're straight up issuing bounties on Marines, bro. They're putting bounties out on fucking Marines. That seems like something that the Rox crew would do. I don't know. I'm just saying. This got the gears turning. The fact, I almost feel like not showing us Rox's face in this chapter is more telling than if he had shown it. Like, if he showed Rox's face and he just looked like a normal dude, that would be one thing. We don't have much to glean off of that. But the fact that he didn't show it, I think that actually gives us a lot of information, because then the only thing I can ask is like, okay, why? Why has he been a silhouette this whole time? Why is he still a silhouette now? So I know I missed a super chat or two. Let me get to that. K Maya, thank you for the $5 super chat. I appreciate it. If the Celestial Dragons take the crown jewel of Pirate Island, that means no one can be crowned king of the pirates. I like that idea. That's a really cool idea too. I mean, if it is like the crown, like if it's actually like Joy Boy's crown or whatever, that's a possibility. That might have been the motivation for why they did it. But like people were saying, you know, if it was so deeply connected to the Void Century, yeah, I'll admit, I almost think it would make more sense for it to have been in Marijois the whole time. Like, the fact that they didn't attempt to take this hat for 760 years, and only then did they just kind of like poke the hive and snatch Joy Boy's hat. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I do think it's still an interesting idea worth considering. So, yeah, guys. A lot of things to think about with this chapter, right? The man marked by flames, the egg being a dragon egg, the Rocks pirates, potentially Rocks being looking a lot like Buggy, the Buccaneers possibly being the originators of pirates on the whole thing with Pirate Island. Like, there are so many insane details that get. I mean, I feel like we could have the same word of the day this week with the whole implications thing, because there's so many things that are implied by the events of this chapter, along with being outright shown to us. But it's just like, man, the amount of details that are given to us just in the God Valley flashback. And the best part about all of this is that we're not done. We're not done. We still have this part of the chapter here where Kuma's in the church. They're back in Sorbet, and Ginny decides to live with Kuma. And I think I'm just gonna have to give it to Randy, guys. I'm just gonna have to give it to Randy. I believe. I am now, it's not even a doubt in my head anymore. I am now sold on Vivi getting the Kuma powers. Okay? This is it. This is it. And I know he hasn't read the chapter yet. He's going to read it tonight. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for Randy to get to this panel. And if any of you are in that stream when he gets to that panel, please just let him know that that's my sentiment. I couldn't wait for him to get to this fucking page here, because I know he's going to have a field day with this one. He's going to have a field day. Okay, let's just quickly break down why this pretty much confirms that Vivi is Vivi is probably going to get the fruit, but why it confirms that Lily definitely had Kuma's fruit here. This is like the only thing I can rationalize this as being, right? Because Kuma gets the Pawpaw fruit. The theory that Randy posited was that, how did all the poneglyphs from 800 years ago, how'd they get sent all over the world? How did that happen, right? Because Imu talked about how Vivi betrayed the world government and then scattered the poneglyphs around the world. How did that happen? How did Lily scatter all the poneglyphs around the world instantaneously? What power would you need to do that? Could it be that power is the ability to use the Pawpaw fruit? Because we see it in the chapter. You smack something and you teleport it somewhere. So it's the simplest explanation is often the best one. It's an Occam's razor situation. How does Lily take all the poneglyphs that are in one place, presumably, and how does Lily send them all over the planet? Because these are incredibly heavy stones. The poneglyphs are not something that you can just pick up and move somewhere. You can't just take a poneglyph and just drop it in the bottom of the sea. You can't just like take it all the way to Fishman Island and place it. Like, you can't just carry it there. You can't just take like 200 poneglyphs and spread them everywhere. That's just not how that works. So how do you do it? Because Vivi had to have done it instantly, like right under the world government's nose. Well, the best explanation is that Lily had Kuma's fruit, the Pawpaw fruit, and then used the power to smack the poneglyphs and teleport the poneglyphs to where they needed to go. And that's where this line comes in, where Ivankov says, "Those hands of yours can bless people with freedom. They're hands of liberation." And then Kuma looks, hands of liberation. Guys, these are the hands that set the poneglyphs across the world. They liberated the people of the future. If it weren't for Lily doing this, for sending the poneglyphs everywhere, no one would know the Void Century ever happened. If it weren't for what Lily did, the world would be forever trapped. There would be no freedom. These hands did provide liberation for all the future generations that were to come. These hands were the key to everything. And we know that Lily was a D. We know she was a part of the D clan. We know that she was she was friends with Joy Boy. She had to have been. She had to have been. So Joy Boy and his drums of liberation had a deep connection with Lily and these hands of liberation. So that's almost a guarantee. That to me, this is like a dead giveaway. Lily had the Pawpaw fruit. and how the number theory gets completed, where all the devil fruits represent certain numbers from 1 to 10 on the Straw Hat crew. How the Nikyu no Mi is perfect for that. How does Kuma is very likely going to die. Like, it's almost a guarantee Kuma's going to die at the end of this arc. I have a feeling that he's going to, he's going to sacrifice himself to help them get away from Saturn. So Kuma's going to die. His devil fruit is going to appear elsewhere in the world. And now we have Vivi, who is now separated from her kingdom. She has no home to return to because she's outlawed. And her father is dead. She's gonna have to return to the Straw Hat Pirates. It's like a guarantee. Vivi has nowhere else to go. She can't go back to Alabasta. The world government is after her head. So Vivi has no home anymore. Except for one, right? Because Vivi has two homes. She has the home she has in Alabasta, and her other home is aboard the ship of the Straw Hat Pirates. That's her second home. And now she only has one home left in the world, and that's with the Straw Hats. So she's gonna have to join. She's gonna have to join the Straw Hat Pirates. Or rejoin the Straw Hat Pirates. So Vivi is coming back. She's gonna join the crew. And think about this. If Kuma dies protecting the Straw Hats are there when Kuma dies. It's a very high likelihood that Kuma's fruit reincarnates on the Straw Hat ship on one of the tangerine trees. Because they have a whole orchard of trees on the Thousand Sunny. If Kuma dies protecting the ship, I mean, it's also ironic because Kuma protected the Thousand Sunny going into the time skip. So it's actually pretty interesting, right? Kuma protected the Sunny during the time skip, and it's him protecting the Sunny a second time in the retread of Sabaody in the form of Egghead, like revisiting all those themes. We revisit the Sabaody themology, or theming, and then we have Kuma protect the Sunny again and help the Straw Hats escape. And then in his death, the fruit reincarnates among one of the fruits that are on the ship. And then they have the pawpaw fruit. They have the physical pawpaw fruit then. Right? Once Vivi joins the crew again, and she's like, I need a power, it could be that they give her the fruit. And then Vivi gets the Hands of Liberation, just like her ancestor Lily had. So something to think about, guys. I think that's how it's going to play out. I fully believe in it. Credit to Randy. This is not even my idea. The only thing I think I've added to this idea is that the fruit is going to reincarnate on the tangerine trees. That's the only thing I've added. But everything else, I'm pretty sure that's all Randy. So I got to give him credit for that. He called this a mile away. Yeah, the Hands of Liberation is a crazy, crazy reveal. That was insane. And I like how the cat symbolism is in Alabasta. So like instead of being bear paws, it's like cat paws. So like there's like a lot of little cute details and things there. I like it a lot. I love the I really love that. Yeah, and Dilcor, exactly. The sea cat being a sacred animal in Alabasta, the cat is sacred because of the pawpaw fruit. I 100% think that's the case. They treat the cat as a sacred animal because of its connection to Lily and the pawpaw fruit, the Hands of Liberation. I think that's what it is. So, yeah, absolutely insane theory, insane reveal. I loved it. And yeah, I mean, this is all just this is a really beautiful end to the chapter. Them crying and then being together and happy that they're able to live free. All I can say to wrap up this chapter is, man, this backstory, I mean, especially based on how this chapter ended, this is going to be some of the most heart-wrenching, painful shit to read ever. Like, I know that this flashback is going to get me crying. And that's part of the reason I'm happy to be doing these reviews, so I can get the tears out before I come on stream. I can read the chapter, get it out of my system, because I know this flashback is going to make me bawl, bro. I know this is going to hurt like a bitch. This is going to be a really, really rough one. I'm feeling I love Kuma, man. I love this whole flashback so far. These characters are amazing, and this chapter ended really strongly. This is incredible. So this is a fucking amazing chapter overall. One of the best in the story. In recent memory. And I think Kuma's flashback as a whole is going to go down as probably the best flashback in One Piece. I think it is. I think it's the best. I think it's going to be the best flashback. So, We'll let it play out though and see how it goes. Let's get to the remaining super chats, and then I kind of want to close out the stream. Oh, I did promise I want to hear some of your guys' theories. I didn't get to do that, so I'll dedicate like the last 15-20 minutes of the stream to that. Moog, thank you for the £2. He said, "Peep the theory Discord, should only take a minute." Let's see what's going on in the theory Discord. Okay. Alright, so he says that Moog says that Rox has the ship fruit. Zebek literally means a type of ship. Yep. That panel of Rox's voice, as it shows the ship, could be Rox talking. Rox rushing off without the crew could refer to the ship rushing off without the crew's control. If the whole Rox crew is on the deck, who's shooting the ship's cannons? Well, it would be the crew because they're on the deck, right? Well, there's probably more people. That doesn't necessarily. But Blackbeard not putting care into any of the ships could be because he's so loyal to Rox and he sees putting love into any other ship as somehow disrespectful. Blackbeard is trying to replicate Rox. 2 crewmates he personally recruited from Impel Down are San Juan Wolf, whose epithet is the battleship, and is a devil fruit user that can float on water. And Blackbeard, and Avalo Pizarro, someone who inhabits islands, things that carry large amounts of people above the sea, and normally takes the form of an animated talking skull, like the figurehead of Rox's ship. The Water 7 arc was also about the crew splitting apart, symbolized by the breaking apart and eventual death of their ship. In God Valley, the Rox crew split apart and Rox died. To complete the parallel, the Rox pirate's ship died, i.e. Rox himself died, as he is the ship. Hence, Rox's Jolly Roger being a flaming skull, foreshadowing the skull figurehead of the ship burning. Who caused the fire? Well, Kaido got the dragon fruit on God Valley, and we know from Momo that fruit takes a long time to master. Momo's first Boro breath was accidental against a man whose devil fruit caused him to be made of wood. Could explain why Kaido's so depressed, obsessed with death, talks about pirate betrayals, dislikes devil fruits, and so on. He doesn't dislike devil fruits. He talks about how Haki's supreme, but he built his whole crew on artificial devil fruits. He likes devil fruits. Explains Sengoku's line that crew members killed each other. Blackbeard's ship is called the Saber of Zebek. Don't have a definitive conclusion to draw from that, but definitely interesting considering the other stuff. I doubt Zebek is still alive as a ship, though. It's an interesting theory. I gotta be honest, I don't think it's the case. I don't think he's a ship. But there are enough details there to entertain the idea. So, we'll see how it plays out. I don't think he's a ship, though. I don't think he's a ship. The way that it's written here, especially when they're all charging in, you can see in this panel, they say don't rush ahead. And at this point, it almost appears as if they're already on the island, because like the Roger pirates are jumping off their ship, Garp's jumping off of his ship, so it's like everyone's on the island. Big Mom snatches the fruit like very shortly after, so it looks here like they're all, look, you can see behind them actually. This is what the real nail in the coffin for me in my mind. They say don't rush ahead, Rox. Behind them you can actually see the mast of the ship and the figurehead towering above them, so they're standing in front of the ship. So if Rox was the ship, he would be behind them. It wouldn't make sense for them to be standing in front of their captain and then saying, don't rush ahead. It seems way more like Rox is just off panel and Oda's just choosing not to show him to us. And he's already ahead of the group. Like, while they're here in front of the ship, Rox already jumped off and he's like well into the island. I don't think he's a ship for this reason, but I do like the connections. I think it's an interesting idea. Blue, thank you for the 2,000 yen. I think Buggy himself might be the crown jewel of Hachinosu. Oh shit. He might have Buccaneer lineage and is destined to lead Hachinosu for the Buccaneers of the new era. The Celestial Dragons might have actually stolen Rox's kid. You think they actually stole his kid, like the crown jewel is the baby itself. That's a fun idea. I like that too. I don't know necessarily how that's going to be explained, but it's a cool twist on what we were talking about earlier. It takes all the elements we talked about this stream and kind of recontextualizes them. I like that. I like that. That's a fun idea. I'm just trying to think about how the Buccaneer how does the Buccaneer lineage work there? Because Buggy doesn't seem to really share anything in terms of Buccaneer qualities. He's not very strong. He's not very large. He has a very odd rubber nose situation going on. So I don't know if he's a Buccaneer, but he doesn't really have to be in this situation. If Rox is someone that looks like... If Rox isn't the Buccaneer and he just has a clown nose or something, it could just be that's Rox's kid. And Rox is like the king of Pirate Island, basically, right? So that'd be a good way to kind of rationalize that. But I like the idea. It seems totally in line with the Celestial Dragons to steal a baby anyway. I wouldn't put that past them at all. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you. Dila Joyboy, thank you for the $5. Really great point he brought up here. The line about Kuma telling Eva he'd never forget his face hits so hard with what Eva said during Marineford. Yeah, so there's a line, where is it? Is it here? Yeah, so Ivankov says to Kuma, well then, I'm off to sea. I'm going to bask in my freedom. And Kuma says, I'll never forget your face for as long as I live. And that's really sad. Because in Marineford, we have this line from Ivankov where he talks about Kuma, you know, having essentially been turned into a mindless robot. And the line that comes from Eva in Marineford is, this is the first time anyone's ever forgotten my face. That kills me. Yeah, that's a brutal line. I'll never forget your face as long as I live. And then he does forget his face. And that's so sad. I feel so bad for everyone that was friends with Kuma. I feel so bad for Kuma. I mean, this is such a tragic story. And the setup here is immaculate with Ivankov. I love Ivankov way more after this flashback. I mean, I always liked him. I thought he was a fun character. But this flashback, I mean, this sealed the deal for me. This is, yeah, I mean, that's a great moment. And Ivankov's speech when they were at God Valley talking about being free and, like, telling Kuma, you have to eat the fruit. Like, you have to do that to save everybody. I will not allow any of you to be killed. We're escaping God Valley together. Ivankov is a fucking Chad, guys. Like, that's a real big nuts, like, character right there. Like, amazing speech from this character. As a matter of fact, both the speech from Ivankov and the speech from Kuma to Saturn in this chapter, like, there's some really great, poignant messaging in this chapter. Like, the lines, the way that they're written. I don't know how it is in the official. I still have to check the official scans, but man, Oda's writing is on point this chapter. The characters got things to say. They really got things to say. And it hit me hard. It hit me really hard. Alright, so let's see what the chat... Thank you guys for the super chats. I appreciate that a lot. That does really help me out. And all the super chats today have been good. A lot of good suggestions, a lot of good ideas. So I love that. Okay, so Duarte said, it may be the case that the crown jewel is something that contrasts with Garp poking the beehive to save the future of the Marines. What do you mean by that? Like, because Garp wasn't the one that poked the beehive, right? Oh, but you mean like, in the present day. He poked the beehive when he pulled up in the present day to Hachinosu. You think there's a connection there? Like something currently on Hachinosu might have connected to the crown jewel? That's an interesting idea. Mr. Rubik said, I said it earlier, but jumping off your theory about York being based on Celestial Dragon's DNA, maybe he would decide that to do that because they are the laziest people he knows. I love that, Rubix. That's a great idea too. Like, if you want to make a Vegapunk clone that's lazy and that's like good for nothing, they just slack off all day, taking the genes from a Celestial Dragon, because these are like the laziest good for nothing piece of shits in the story. Like, these are like the worst people in the story. Like, they cannot do anything for themselves. They whine and bitch about everything. They sit around all day. They use slave labor to do the most basic tasks. They're terrible. It would make sense if Vegapunk was like, I need to capture the pinnacle of laziness for York. So he takes the lineage factor from the Manmeyer chick here, a Celestial Dragon, and then turns it into York. That's a fun idea to think about. AM Slime. A couple kids really orchestrated one of the biggest incidents in history. Yeah. Hey, don't underestimate the power of children in One Piece flashbacks. Kids in One Piece flashbacks are capable of like insane feats. Like Frankie as a teenager, like a young teenager, was able to tank a train at full speed. A fucking sea train. It rammed him at full speed and he tanked it. One Piece kids are crazy, man. They're like 8 years old in this flashback, but they have like the life experience and like the physical like capabilities of like a fully grown adult. Dealer Joy Boy, thank you for the $20, homie. Let's see what this says. What if the crown jewel of Hachinosu was the big straw hat? It would be funny if it sat on top of the skull. If you look at it in the colored manga, it even has a color difference on top of the skull compared to the rest of it. So, I'm assuming you got to the stream a little bit late. But, good news for you, brother. I did actually have like a whole 20-minute section of the stream talking about this exact idea. Like, I had the same idea. So, when the stream's over and the VOD's obviously going to be there, definitely go back, check through the stream. I think it might have been about 30 minutes ago from right now. Yeah, I have a whole segment talking about how the crown jewel was possibly the giant straw hat. So I think you'd appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. But yeah, no, that's just so I don't repeat it again. But I did go into depth on that. I think that's a very real possibility. Yeah. There's a few little hitches with the idea. Like obviously it doesn't perfectly work out because why would they take it from the New World and go to the West Blue? Or, you know, why would they wait all this time to get the hat if it was so important, especially if it connected to someone as significant as Nika in the timeline or whatever. But yeah, great idea. Coinzel said, I love hidden streams, best way to do some chores and think about theories. Yo, appreciate that, thank you. I love these streams too. I think they're fun. I think they're really fun. I really like the review format. Tell me, guys, now that we're at the end of the stream pretty much, do you guys like this review format better? I feel like this week's stream, last week's stream, these were reviews instead of reactions. Didn't we have like so much more juice? Like with I feel like we got way more ingredients to cook with when I have like a couple days to think about stuff. I don't know. You guys liking the review format better? I feel like we got some insane ideas coming out in these review streams. The breakdowns are way better. So I'm just gonna keep doing these. I mean, I feel like these are the way to go. These are the way to go, in my opinion. That being said, you know, if there's ever a chapter that like people DM me before I read it or before the chapter comes out, like let's say they read spoilers, and if there's a chapter there that people are like, yo man, this is a chapter you gotta react to, like put the suit on, get in front of the camera and react. Like if it's one of those chapters and I get some knowledge of that in advance, maybe we'll do reactions here and there. Like you know, but the only thing is, like, if someone tells me that it's a chapter that's worth reacting to instead of reviewing, I'm kind of going to know going in that, like, okay, we're probably going to see Rocks this chapter. We're probably going to see, like, Gear 5 do some insane shit, or Shanks do some insane shit, or someone's going to die, or, you know, we're going to see the other Gorosei power. Like, it kind of gives away some stuff, so I don't know how I want to go about it. But I think I'm going to stick to reviews for a little while. I do like it better. Okay, Ruben, I don't know how, I'm sorry if I'm not even going to try to pronounce the second part there, but is it Chinchaladze? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, brother. But Ruben said, the review format is very good and informative, but I do miss that initial hype reaction. I apologize. I know that it's, you know, obviously there's always going to be a give and take with everything. There's no way to, please everyone, and honestly, I like doing the reactions too sometimes, but like there's always a give and take, right? So like you know, the reviews are good, but obviously in doing the reviews, we sacrifice the reaction. But then when we do the reactions, we sacrifice the in-depth discussions. So it's like kind of like which is more important. I do understand. I feel for you guys that like really like to see the hype reactions, that come here to see the hype reactions. I just feel like I'm not really bringing too much to the table when I react to something. Like, I'm just going to kind of say the same thing everyone else is saying. You know that it's going to be, like, you know that when I see this page, I'm going to react the same way everyone else reacts when they see this page. This page comes up in the manga, and I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy! What's going on? The Rocks Pirates are here! Blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what's coming. You know what I'm going to say. So I feel like, yeah, while it's fun, it's hype, it's something that is kind of like very in the moment, and it's I like to go with more like evergreen content, you know, like stuff that like lasts, that stands up over time, and you know, it's not just for the reaction, it's not just in the moment. So I do feel for you, man. I hear you guys out on that. Let's see. Blue says, you underestimate Goda. You've always been caught off guard when it comes to Peak. You're right, Blue. You're right. I'm sure I'll be caught off guard. I'll be caught off guard now and then. I'm just saying, you know, it's sometimes it's like, sometimes it's just better to go in without knowing a thing, you know? Like, sometimes I would rather just be able to, like, read it on my own, have no one have said anything, not even see people in the chat saying anything, just know, I want to have no bias going into a chapter, and then when I get hit with some crazy shit, it'll blow my mind, and then all I'm going to think about the next 2 days is what happened in the chapter, and then by the time the review stream comes around, I'm just, like, fully, you know, I'm like sauced up. I'm ready to hit you guys with everything I've been thinking about. Got a lot of stuff to like get off the chest, you know. So I don't know. There's some positives to it. David Taylor, thank you for the 10 Canadian dollars. Crown Jewel is the egg that will become Uranus. The coins thrown into the sea before a Davy back fight are held at the bottom of the sea. Uranus blasting God Valley would give access to Davy Jones' locker. It's a really cool idea. A little bit out there in terms of the details, like Davy Jones' locker, but yeah, and like the Uranus thing, but because we still kind of have to know what exactly Uranus is. Like we're not exactly clear yet on that, because Pluton is like a man-made thing by the sounds of it. Poseidon is like a thing that can be reborn, or, you know, it's like a lineage thing. I don't know exactly what the rules behind Poseidon are, but like, what is Uranus? Was it in an egg, or has it already existed? You would think the egg, if it was Uranus, you would think the egg has a much higher priority for the world government, because they would know, obviously the Gorosei and Imu would know what Uranus is. They know about the ancient weapons, so they would know that egg is that, presumably. So I would assume they would expend no, I don't know what the phrase is, but they would expend every effort they could to get Roger if they knew he had that egg on his ship. So I don't know exactly if the Uranus thing works out, and the Davy Jones locker is not really a concept that's been introduced in One Piece yet. So we'll have to see, but I think it's an interesting, you know, take on the Davy back fight, and the coins being thrown into the sea I think is a cool detail there. Because I've always wondered what that is, if that's just a cultural thing, if there's some other greater purpose to that. But yeah, that's cool. Let's see. Den Kushi, what's up, bro? He said, wonder if Yoru has anything to do with the crown jewel, like Mihawk's sword, huh? You know, I don't know if it's just me. You tell me if you're feeling the same way. But after this chapter, I'm starting to get the vibes that Mihawk might be related potentially to one of the Gods Knights, or someone that has some affiliation with them. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, if Yoru somehow is connected to Pirate Island in some way, I could see that happening. I'm almost more willing to connect him to the Celestial Dragons than to pirates, though. That's the only thing. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. All right, Dexter wanted me to check out Devil Fruit Domination. All right, so this is a quick one. I'll give your theory a read, Dexter. Thanks for tagging me. I forgot to read this the other day. So let me pull up this this theory here. All right, so we'll do a little quick theory review before we close out the stream today, because Dexter's been wanting me to check out this this theory he wrote for a while now, and I have been meaning to get to it, but I couldn't. But let's do it now. All right, so this is the devil fruit domination theory. All right. Actually, hold on. Let me blow my nose real quick. All right. Oh, is this your oh yeah, Dexter. Yeah, there you are, Dexter. No, don't worry. You're not spamming. It's fine. All right. So let's see. First, I'd point out some things we either know for a fact or have been hinted at regarding devil fruits. They have been the most fundamental power system in One Piece, being present since chapter 1 of the manga, and was up until the time skip the only confirmed power system in OP. We also have come to know that devil fruits, according to Dr. Vegapunk, was created from the desires of man. This suggests that devil fruits are not a natural thing in the world of One Piece, and to confirm this, we also get the quote from no one else than the same person, that Mother Nature, the ocean, hates devil fruit users. So, right, an unnatural thing. Devil fruits are not a natural occurrence. Makes sense so far. We've also come to find out that devil fruits, especially Zoan types, inhabit their own will, or yeah, they contain their own will. This is also briefly discussed by the Gorosei when the Gomu Gomu no Mi was revealed to be a mythical Zoan type and not a Paramecia, as we've been led to believe. Yep. Although the by far most important piece of this puzzle is how Zoan-type devil fruits can overwhelm a person's mind when awakened, as seen with the Impel Down jailers. This will be very important later on, but first I'd like to revise a few important things first. In Chapter 1085, we for the first time see both Imu and the Gorosei take form of shadow-like creatures. Many have assumed this is all mythical Zoan-type devil fruits, and that is responsible for their power. For the sake of this theory, we will also assume that is what we see in that chapter. One thing I would like to mention before we dive into the complete theory is, so far in the story, Blackbeard and Luffy have been shown to be two sides of the same coin, I'm assuming. However, doing some research into the origin of the letter D in the Latin alphabet, I stumbled upon the Greek letter delta, which is drawn as a triangle resembling a tent opening or a door. Is that what the origin of the symbol comes from? Or is that just your addition there? The symbol, however, is a triangle, and here I thought it wouldn't be unlike Oda to bring a twist to the well-known two sides of the same coin analogy we all know, which would make this the three sides of a triangle or the three sides of the D. Imu would be that third side, and while we do not have a lot of information about Imu or the meaning of the letter D, besides the fact that those who bear it are enemies of the so-called gods of the One Piece world, I'm not sure I'm following this just yet, but I'll continue. Here I quote directly from Duarte. I usually think of this triad as empathetic. Shout out Duarte. I usually think of this triad as empathetic or warm freedom, represented by a sun, in the case of Luffy. Absolute freedom or chaos, in the form of Blackbeard, represented by a black hole. And a control or absence of freedom, Imu, represented by emptiness. I'm guessing in that case that would be like space, right? And the Sunyata Buddhist concept for emptiness is actually symbolized by a hand-drawn circle. So all three have circular imagery? Oh, I guess like a sun, a black hole, and then like emptiness is a circle too. They all have their own way of gathering their crew. Luffy's charismatic and protective makes his crew loyal and very close friends. Blackbeard's crew operates by a shared agenda. This is at least the case for Aokiji, and finally, Imu would be having their crew as subordinates and almost in a slave-like manner. It's like crew by you're forced to be part of my crew, right? So Luffy brings people onto his crew by their own volition. He gets them to like share in his dream. Blackbeard amalgamates a group of people that all have their own goals, and they're all just kind of working together to fulfill their own selfish desires. And Imu forces everyone under their umbrella to serve their only Imu's selfish desires. So I think that's an interesting, little circle of I don't know what the word is. It's not a dichotomy. Is it a trichotomy? Is that what you would call it? All right. What do we got? Now, as mentioned above, we know that zone devil fruits have their own will. This is possibly even stronger in the case of a mythical zone, but that's not confirmed, only speculation. Now, if we say that the will of a zone type battles the will of a user when awakened, then we could be in a situation where the Gorosei needn't be immortal at all. Their devil fruit would simply be passed on to the next vessel for each of them. Oh, I see what you're saying. So what you're saying with this one is that the Gorosei, the personality and the minds behind the Gorosei are the devil fruit Zoan taking over the mind of the person. So that the Gorosei, the physical humans that we see as the Gorosei, are actually like mind controlled by their devil fruit powers. And that like Saturn, his human form, was just like a normal dude, maybe a normal celestial dragon, who was given this power, and he's now mind controlled by the ability itself. And the evil that comes out of Saturn, all the evil shit that the world government does, that the Gorosei do, the way that they think, why it's so horrible, is because it's not, they're literally not human. It's the thoughts coming from a literal demon inside their devil fruit. The demon in their fruit has taken over their mind. I think that's a really interesting idea. We still assume that Imu is immortal, as has been hinted to in the story, but I'd like to throw in another speculation on my part that, as some have argued, Imu might have originally fought alongside the other Nika and Joy Boy in the Void Century. If we take Vegapunk's word for a fact that the Ancient Kingdom had more advanced technology, then it might not be a wild idea to assume that devil fruits were originally created as either a biological weapon or an enhancement. If Imu did fight on the side of the Ancient Kingdom and consumed a devil fruit, which overwrote their original will, they may have stabbed their own creators in the back, not unlike how a lot of sci-fi tends to write about, AI and robots turning against their masters. That's a common theme. So this would mean that Imu ended up on the empty throne because of the will of their devil fruit. The Gorosei would also be controlled by their devil fruit, which would in turn mean that the whole reason the Ancient Kingdom lost was because of their own tech. This would also explain why Imu talks about themselves in the third person, because it is not them talking, but the devil fruit inside them. While the Gorosei does not do that, while we don't know to what extent Imu might be controlled. So I do like this idea, Dexter. I think this is actually a really cool idea. Like the whole concept that the reason the world government is so evil is because the powers, their devil fruit powers, are based on these evil demonic creatures. And the evil thoughts and actions that the world government commits are not the actions of humans, but the actions of demons that are within their bodies. And because we know, as we have learned, that when you awaken a Zoan fruit, there's a potential that you lose your mind in the process, you lose yourself in the process. It could be that the Gorosei, over the course of these 800 years, have lost themselves to their powers, and they have now the demon, the monster that's in their devil fruit ability, has taken over, and that's their personality now. And that's why they're so evil. I like that. I think that's a great idea. As a matter of fact, if that actually turned out to be the case, I wouldn't be shocked. I think that makes sense given the details we have in the story. With this in mind, Imu might also have the initial D in their name. This is why they can't stand it being mentioned. Oh, so you're also thinking that Imu might be a member of the D clan, and because the D is part of the name of the original vessel, which now is being controlled by whatever has taken over Imu, they don't want to be reminded of their past life as Imu. They don't want to be reminded of their humanity, so they avoid the D. They hate the D because it reminds them of who they really are, and it overrides the demonic power inside them. I think that's a really cool idea. That's also a great twist on it. The way Imu speaks is also very reminiscent of a child, which could be attributed to the fact that the devil fruit they ate is speaking for them by imitating human language. 2 extra things I decided to add and highlight in the recent 2 chapters. Luffy never aims to liberate people, but it is a consequence of his actions. His devil fruit might not be meaning any harm, but just like we assume it knowingly avoided the government for 800 years, this might be another case of one such thing. Saint Saturn has also shown some things which could point this theory in the right direction. His quote from 1094, "It's been so long since I've been to the surface," could suggest that he isn't the one speaking. I haven't given much thought to the magic circles yet, but they could be something to keep the host in control when they aren't using their devil fruit. That said, I still believe the world government is an evil organization. Since this might not be the case for anyone else than those below Imu, Saturn has also expressed quite a lot of emotion and frustration in the few scenes we see him. This is from what I recall the first time we've seen one of the Gorosei not keep their cool. He also says, "Why is it when humans are told not to do something, they do it anyways?" This wording suggests him being completely separated from humans, even more so than celestial dragons think they are. That was an interesting detail I picked up on too when I read that chapter, that he almost speaks of humans as if they're separate from himself. And while that's not crazy for a celestial dragon, because they do see themselves as above normal humans, it's just weird for him to talk about humans in such a way where he's like pondering about the nature of this entire species, and he's like, why do humans do this? And it's like, no matter how inflated of an ego you have, if you're even somewhat scientific, you would have to acknowledge that you share traits with the people that live below on the surface. So like, why would they be humans and you're not, you know? So it's weird. I do think that's an interesting line from him. I think this is a cool idea. This is a cool theory. Thank you for keeping it short. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Dexter. I think it seems like a lot of people also found that to be pretty cool, pretty interesting. So I like it. I like it. Thank you for sharing that. And with that being said, I've got pretty much everything I wanted to say about this chapter out there today. Got a lot of theories to discuss. I'm going to try and see if I can cut this together into a video, or maybe re-record something similar and turn it into a video. I want to get a video up this week talking about all these concepts. I want to talk about the man marked by flames in my next video. So I think I am going to be cutting down this stream and turning it into a main upload for the channel, maybe adding some details. And we're going to talk about that egg theory because I think it's a big one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. I do have to get going. We're almost at, what are we at, like the 2-hour mark now? Yeah, we are. We just hit the 2-hour mark. So, W for Dexter, W for Oda, W for all you guys. Thank you for the wonderful super chats. We got a bunch today. Thank you for all the cool ideas and theories I saw in the chat, and all the support from everyone in the stream. Before you go, if you did like the stream today, if you did enjoy the discussions today, please do me a real solid. Just hit the like button, like the stream for me. It's going to help push the VOD out to more people. It helps my channel. So if you did enjoy it, please, please, please like the stream. And subscribe if you haven't. Everyone, as always, thank you for being here. I hope all of you have a wonderful week. We don't have a break next week, as far as I know. So next week, we'll be back with yet another banger of a chapter. And until then, I hope all of you guys have a great rest of your day, a good night, and a wonderful romance dawn. Take care, guys.